Absolutely. Thank you so much. And yeah, I'll conserve some power just by turning off my video, but it's good to see you all, to be on with you today and to be talking about one of my favorite topics in mainframe modernization and data integration at Precisely. So just a little background on who we are at Precisely. We work with some of the largest companies around the world, really cross industry and internationally, to help them build trust in their data. So that involves everything from data integration to data governance, data quality, enriching the data with specific data sets that we curate. So really everything around the data lifecycle. And to Ron's earlier point, I'm here today to talk through a couple specific examples of how we've worked with customers to help them solve problems specifically around their legacy systems. So also to his earlier point, we work with customers with all sorts of use cases. We are a little bit unique in that our company was founded in 1968, so just a few years after the mainframe itself was launched. One of the earliest first software companies out there, and certainly continuing to innovate in this space. As we all know, those of us that work with these legacy systems understand that they really are kind of the backbone of the global economy today. So I'll walk through a couple different examples of how we've worked with organizations just to give you a sense of kind of what's possible. And the first example we'll talk through is Citizens Bank. Now, this is a public case study we actually presented together at reInvent last year. So there are probably replays or decks available to kind of dive into the architecture, the deep story, if that interests you. But basically, Citizens Bank came to us and they were looking to become the leader in digital customer experience, right? That's what they wanted to hang their hat on. That's what they wanted to advertise themselves as. And so we worked with them to help them onboard a number of different data sets from around their environment. And probably the most difficult data set that they worked with, that a lot of organizations work with today, are vSAM files. Now, vSAM files and a lot of the mainframe file structures in general are very kind of complicated and convoluted because they were first really conceptualized when storage, a terabyte of storage used to take up a city block. Right now, we can all carry it in our pockets with our phones, but still these constructs, kind of archaic ways of developing data formats and padding and coding data fields still exist, right? Applications that ran or were written 30 years ago can still run on a mainframe today. That's why a lot of organizations use them. But basically, Citizens Bank wanted to access this data in real time. They wanted to replicate it to AWS, managed service for Kafka, where they could essentially create microservices to provide that data to data consumers for analytics, for new applications that utilize that data. And what this really allows these organizations to do, in Citizens Bank specifically, is to access kind of core applications that run on these platforms. The reason why these platforms are still around is because generally core business processes run on them. So for a bank, that's account balance information, creating accounts, making payments, all of those operations run on a mainframe. So if I'm trying to provide more analytics around my customer accounts, if I'm trying to provide real-time recommendations for purchases or things like that, they're all going to come from this data. And so if I want to build this next generation experience, I need to be able to replicate and work with this data in real time. So we were able to access it. We were able to replicate it in a format that was digestible by some of AWS's cloud solutions for analytics. And basically, they were able to reduce their overall utilization of the mainframe. So rather than developing new applications to go fetch this data from the mainframe itself, they pretty much develop these applications to fetch this data from the cloud. And that saves them on a number of I/O operations to their mainframe. It helps them reduce their MIPS utilization, which is what they're kind of charged by for overall platform consumption. So reducing costs, reducing utilization of the platform, delivering a modern customer experience by making data available as a service to new application owners, new analytics use cases. And it's really, we use the phrase democratize the mainframe data, right? It's made this mainframe data more available, more usable, and it's really kind of allowed them to shed the weight that previously they felt in managing the mainframe platform. So one example of an organization that we've worked with to help them solve a very specific problem or meet a specific goal around becoming a digital bank. And I think those of us that are charting path towards greatness or chart towards delivering a unique experience understand that that is never done, right? There's always things that you're iterating on, but at least we're able to get them started, and we continue to work with them to this day. Now, there are some organizations like Citizens that understand that modernizing legacy systems platforms is really the best way to go. We love the payment application that runs on our mainframe, but we want the data in the cloud, right? So they're kind of in this world where they want to coexist with these two different solutions in kind of a hybrid way. But we've also worked with others, and in the next example is specifically a German luxury automotive manufacturer that a lot of you, I'm sure, know and love. They had a different idea, and they were really trying to eliminate the mainframe completely from their operations. They didn't have the right folks to manage the platform. That was creating additional cost and complexity, and they just really don't see a future of it going forward. Now, again, a lot of people that use this platform can kind of debate whether or not it's best to get off the mainframe or just kind of modernize it. There are a lot of schools of thought, and we really help organizations in all of those. So the previous example, right, modernizing the mainframe, this is more centered around eliminating the mainframe, taking applications that previously ran on the mainframe, migrating them off to run on AWS. And this is a step-by-step process. It's a very big process, and it has a lot of eyes on it, right? When you think about moving kind of core business processes from where they've been running for, again, probably decades, over into this new world where there are a lot of uncertainties. But it all really starts with the data, right? If I'm going to build a new application, if I'm going to try to improve the current applications that are running, I need to be able to edit and work with this data so that I can, test it, I can validate it. And so we were able to help them, begin this journey by replicating data. They have a couple different data sets that they're moving on to as they start to onboard more and more information from the mainframe and develop more and more applications. And they actually see a future where they are going to be able to completely decouple the mainframe from their applications and ultimately migrate it over. So again, another example of how we work with customers, not only for modernizing, but also if they're looking to move to a different platform.